All right, UPSC aspirants, ready for our deep dive today. We're
Absolutely.
going to be tackling a topic that is almost guaranteed to show up on your exams.
Okay.
It's India's relationship with Qatar, with a special focus on their booming LNG trade.
Right.
Remember that recent visit from Qatar's Emir?
Yeah.
All that talk about doubling trade?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to be going beyond those headlines today,
Okay.
unpacking why this matters for India's energy security,
Right.
for its economy, and for its place on the global stage.
Yeah. It's fascinating how much this one single relationship can impact India's overall strategy.
Exactly.
We're talking about international relations, we're talking about economic policy, even environmental considerations, all wrapped up in one.
It is really kind of at the heart of everything.
Yeah.
So let's start with the heart of it all.
Okay.
LNG.
All right.
Qatar is currently India's top supplier.
Yes.
But why is this liquefied natural gas so crucial for India in the first place?
Well, India's energy demand is just skyrocketing. Think about it. Their population growth, industrialization, rising living standards. The government wants to rely more and more on natural gas.
Yeah,
It's cleaner than coal.
right.
But the problem is domestic production just can't keep up.
Oh, wow.
The IEA predicts that India's gas consumption will surge by a staggering 60% by 2030.
60%.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that really puts things into perspective.
It does.
So they need these reliable sources, and that's where Qatar is coming in.
Exact.
But the numbers reveal something else, too.
Oh,
A trade imbalance.
okay.
India imported over $11 billion worth of goods from Qatar in the first 11 months of 2024.
Huh.
Exports were only about $1.6 billion.
Wow.
That's a huge gap.
Yeah.
Should we be concerned?
It's definitely something to pay attention to,
Okay.
but it's not quite as simple as it looks on the surface.
Okay.
The imbalance is largely due to that massive energy demand we talked about.
Right.
India needs LNG and Qatar has it in abundance.
Yeah.
This is where this term strategic partnership comes in. It's about recognizing that both sides benefit.
Okay.
Qatar gets a major market for its LNG,
Right.
and India gets the energy security it desperately needs to keep growing.
So it's like a trade-off, but a
Yeah.
calculated one.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just hone in on Qatar's role for a second here.
Sure.
We know they're a big supplier, but the numbers are pretty striking.
Yeah.
Almost 10 million tons of LNG.
Wow.
Almost 40% of India's imports just in the first 11 months of last year. Plus, we've got Petronet LNG, India's biggest LNG importer,
Right.
extending their contract with Qatar all the way to 2048.
Okay.
And JL, another major player, just secured even more supplies.
Interesting.
It seems like Qatar is really solidifying its position.
Yeah.
Why the big push?
Well, it's partly about anticipating India's future needs.
Okay.
Qatar has these very ambitious plans to nearly double their LNG production capacity by 2027.
Wow.
More capacity means they can meet that growing Indian demand.
Right.
But it does raise some questions,
Like-
what will this mean for pricing going forward?
Yeah.
Could we see India investing in Qatari LNG infrastructure to secure its supply and maybe even balance that trade gap a little bit?
Now, those are the kinds of questions I think UPSC examiners love.
Exactly.
It's not just about knowing the facts. It's about,
Yes.
understanding the implications.
So what?
Yeah, the so what.
Exactly.
But hold on a second, because this story isn't just about India and Qatar.
Oh.
There's another player entering the field here.
Okay, who's that?
The United States.
Oh, interesting.
They've been steadily increasing their own LNG exports to India.
Right.
We're talking over 5 million tons. About 20% of India's imports worth nearly $2.5 billion.
Wow.
The U.S. is clearly looking to make its presence known.
Yeah, and they're in a good position to do so.
Yeah.
The U.S. recently lifted its ban on new LNG export permits, which means they have a lot more gas that they can send overseas now.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S.-India energy partnership is growing rapidly, and this is a big part of it.
Yeah.
But what does this mean for the global LNG market?
That's what I find so fascinating.
Yeah.
We've got India's demand increasing dramatically.
Yeah.
We've got Qatar, who is a major force.
Yeah.
But then the U.S. is emerging as this contender.
Right.
It creates this really complex dynamic, a sort of energy triangle.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of situation that makes for a great UPSC question. How will India manage this?
Right.
What are the strategic implications for its relationships with both Qatar and the U.S.?
Yeah.
How does this affect its overall energy security, its position on the global stage?
It's so fascinating how it touches on everything.
It really does.
This is what makes it such a crucial topic for UPSC aspirants.
Absolutely.
We've laid the groundwork here.
Yes.
The demand, the suppliers, the trade, the geopolitics.
Mm-hmm.
But the real test is being able to analyze it.
Right.
Connect the dots and see the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And that's what we'll continue to unpack after the break. All right, so we've got this energy triangle forming India in the center. Qatar on one side, the U.S. on the other.
Right.
But remember, for UPSC, it's not enough to just know the players.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to understand the game.
Yeah.
What are the implications here for India's foreign policy, its relationships with these countries?
Well, let's start with Qatar.
Okay.
You know, this goes far beyond just buying and selling LNG.
Right.
There's a long history of cooperation here, shared interests.
Yeah.
Qatar is a major player in the Middle East, a region that is absolutely crucial for India's stability and energy security.
Right.
We're talking about economic ties, even a large Indian diaspora living and working in Qatar.
It's almost like walking a tightrope, isn't it?
It is.
India needs to secure that energy supply.
Yeah.
But also navigate the really complex geopolitics of the Middle East.
It's a tough one.
How does it balance those competing interests?
Well, India has traditionally followed a policy of non-alignment in the region, trying to maintain good relationships with everyone.
Yeah.
The key is to secure its own interests without getting caught in the middle of regional conflicts or rivalries.
Makes sense. So looking ahead, what does this mean for India's relationship with Qatar? Is it just about more LNG deals, or is there more to it?
I think if we connect this to the bigger picture, we're going to see India really trying to deepen its ties with Qatar across the board. I mean, we're already seeing long-term energy contracts, talk of joint ventures, even potential for Indian investment in Qatari LNG infrastructure. But it can't stop there.
You're right. They need to diversify.
Yeah.
What other areas of cooperation could we see expanding?
Think beyond energy, infrastructure development, technology transfers, maybe even defense cooperation.
Interesting.
Broadening the relationship like this reduces risk for both sides. It creates new avenues for growth, and it strengthens that strategic partnership.
So that's the Qatar side of the equation. But what about the U.S.? They bring a whole different set of dynamics to the table.
They do.
Their own ambitions in the region.
Absolutely.
How does India manage this evolving triangular relationship?
Well, this is where things get really interesting from a strategic perspective. The U.S.-India relationship has grown significantly in recent years.
It has.
It's about trade, it's about defense, it's about technology, and increasingly it's about energy. The U.S. sees India as a key partner in the Indo-Pacific, a counterbalance to China's growing influence.
And from India's perspective, the U.S. offers access to advanced technology, military hardware, a powerful ally on the global stage.
It does.
There's a lot of potential there, but also potential for complications.
Exactly. India has to be very mindful of how its growing energy ties with the U.S. might be perceived by other partners. Think Russia, for example. A long-standing energy supplier and defense partner. It's a delicate balancing act.
It's like a geopolitical chess game. Every move has consequences.
It really...
So how does India navigate this energy triangle? How does it maximize the benefits and minimize the risks?
Well, the first step is to be crystal clear about its priorities. What are India's non-negotiables when it comes to energy security? What are its long-term strategic goals in the region? And how can it use these relationships with both Qatar and the U.S. to achieve those goals?
So it's about having a clear vision, a roadmap for engagement.
Absolutely.
But let's face it, international relations are rarely that straightforward. There are always external factors at play.
Of course.
We have to consider what happens to global energy prices. How geopolitical tensions in the Middle East might escalate or de-escalate. What about new technologies like renewable energy? Could that disrupt the entire LNG market in the future?
It could.
So many variables.
And a lot to consider.
It's a constantly shifting landscape.
It is.
India has to be adaptable, ready to adjust its strategy as needed. This is what makes it such a fascinating case study. Not just for energy security, but for diplomacy and strategic thinking as a whole.
Right. It's not about finding easy answers. It's about developing those analytical skills.
Right.
The ability to weigh options, anticipate challenges, and make informed decisions in a complex and unpredictable world.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The LNG trade, the strategic partnerships, the geopolitical maneuvering.
Yeah.
But at the heart of it all is something we haven't explicitly addressed yet.
What's that?
Energy security.
Okay.
For UPSC aspirants, this is a concept you absolutely need to master.
It's fundamental.
It's about more than just keeping the lights on.
Right.
Energy security is about ensuring a reliable and affordable supply of energy to meet a nation's needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's about reducing vulnerability to disruptions.
Yes.
Whether those are caused by natural disasters, political instability, or market fluctuations.
All of those things.
And for a country like India, with its massive and growing population, a booming economy, and ambitious development goals, energy security isn't just an abstract concept.
Right.
It's essential for their very survival and future prosperity.
Exactly. Without energy security, India's economic growth falters.
Yeah.
Their development plans stall, and their ability to provide for their citizens is severely compromised.
So how does India achieve this energy security? Is it about diversifying their sources, investing in renewables, building strategic partnerships?
It's all of those things.
What's the magic formula?
There's no magic formula.
Okay.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Domestically, it means increasing their own production, exploring new sources like shale gas, improving energy efficiency.
Right.
On the international front, it's about securing long-term contracts with reliable suppliers, diversifying their import portfolio, even investing in energy infrastructure abroad.
It's like building a safety net, making sure their energy needs are met.
Yeah.
Even if there are unforeseen challenges. But it's not just about the quantity of energy. It's about affordability too, right?
Absolutely. If energy becomes too expensive, it can cripple industries.
Yeah.
Drive up inflation and hurt the most vulnerable parts of society.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Enough energy to fuel India's growth, but at a price that its people can afford.
Exactly.
Every decision they make, whether it's signing a new LNG deal with Qatar,
right,
deepening their partnership with the U.S., or investing in solar power.
Yeah.
It all has implications for their energy security.
Absolutely. And this is where your understanding of policy and strategy comes in.
Okay.
What should India prioritize?
Yeah.
What are the trade-offs?
Right.
What are the potential risks and rewards of each approach?
Right.
These are the kinds of questions UPSC examiners will expect you to grapple with.
It's a high-stakes game with no easy answers.
That's for sure.
But as future policymakers, you need to understand the rules, the players, and the potential consequences of each move.
Yeah.
That's what makes this deep dive so valuable.
Absolutely. It's not about giving you the answers. It's about giving you the tools to find those answers yourself. The knowledge, the analytical framework, the ability to think critically and strategically about complex issues.
We've explored the intricacies of India's energy relationships with Qatar and the U.S.
Yeah.
The broader implications for their energy security, the geopolitical chess game, the strategic choices they face, and the vital importance of that multi-pronged approach.
It's a lot.
But we're not done yet. We'll be right back to wrap it all up and leave you with some food for thought.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. We're in the final stretch now of our deep dive into India-Qatar LNG trade.
Okay.
We've gone from the basics all the way to the big picture.
Right.
Analyze the numbers, the partnerships, the geopolitical chessboard, and that critical concept of energy security.
It's a lot.
It is. But let's bring it back to you, our dedicated UPSC aspirants.
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways you should be scribbling down right now in your notes?
All right, well, first and foremost, you really need to grasp the dynamics of the global LNG market.
Okay.
It's far more complex than just supply and demand.
Right.
We've got geopolitics, technology, even climate change.
Yeah.
All shaping this market. Who are the major players? What are their advantages? What are their weaknesses? How could shifts in this market impact India's energy security?
Right. It's not just about memorizing facts.
No.
It's about seeing those connections, understanding the forces at play.
Exactly.
Being able to anticipate those challenges and opportunities India might face.
Precisely. And don't forget about the economic angle.
Yeah.
How does India's dependence on LNG imports affect its trade balance? What are the potential risks of currency fluctuations or price volatility?
We talked about those trade figures earlier. Billions of dollars flowing between these countries.
Absolutely.
Understanding those numbers, the nuances of that relationship, and the long-term economic implications, I think that's crucial.
It is. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for UPSC preparation. Think about policy recommendations.
Okay.
Imagine you're advising the Indian government.
Right.
What strategies would you propose to strengthen their energy security?
Yeah.
While also balancing those economic and diplomatic considerations?
It's a tough question.
It is. It's not a simple answer. It requires a well-rounded approach.
Would you push for diversifying suppliers?
Maybe.
Advocate for increased domestic production?
Possibly.
Maybe a greater focus on renewable energy sources like solar and wind?
Those are all possibilities.
Right.
These are the tough choices policymakers face.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's about weighing the pros and cons, understanding the trade-offs, and finding a holistic approach that addresses India's unique set of challenges and aspirations.
And this is where your knowledge of international relations comes into play.
Absolutely.
How can India use diplomacy to secure favorable terms in energy deals?
Right.
How do they navigate those complex alliances and rivalries that shape the global energy landscape?
It's a high-stakes game.
It is.
Remember, diplomacy is about more than just signing agreements.
Right.
It's about building trust, fostering cooperation, finding those win-win solutions that benefit everyone involved.
So it's a multifaceted challenge.
Yes.
That demands a multifaceted response.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's such a perfect topic for the UPSC exams.
It really is.
It tests your knowledge,
Yeah.
your analytical skills, your ability to think critically and strategically. It pushes you to go beyond the surface and really grapple with the complexities of the issue.
And that's precisely what we aim to do here on the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We want to provide you with the insights, the context, the thought-provoking questions to help you ace those exams
Absolutely.
and become the policymakers of tomorrow.
Right.
This deep dive into India-Qatar LNG trade is just one example of how seemingly specific topics can open up a world of interconnected issues that are shaping India's future.
Exactly. So to all our aspiring diplomats and policymakers out there,
Yes.
keep diving deep, keep asking those tough questions, and remember, the world of energy, like international relations, is constantly evolving.
It is.
Stay informed, stay curious, and keep those analytical minds sharp.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out the Indian Express,
Yes.
the source of today's deep dive,
I've sourced.
for even more in-depth coverage of this really crucial topic.
And before you go, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments and questions below.
We love hearing from you.
We do. We love hearing from our listeners and helping you navigate these complex issues.
Absolutely.
Until next time, best of luck with your UPSC preparations.